shoot, baby, shoot.
Ooh, how you doing, baby? No, not you. The bow-legged one.
Hey everyone, Joey Four Fingers here of Fighting 5280, Stay Bladed Capo of Colorado. Today we are at Fight Life Martial Arts in beautiful Aurora, Colorado, and I'm going to show you how to do the 9-count angle structure for the Stay Bladed development deck. Now, angle structures vary from style to style and system to system, anywhere from as low as 5 strikes all the way up into its 20s. But this 9-count structure is almost universally the exact numbering system for any of those systems that go above and beyond. These 9 angles are almost numbered exactly the same across the board. In fact, this 9-count angle structure was adopted by the U.S. military for the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program for their baton course. You know what, without me rambling on much further, let's get to playing. Grab your stick and your knife, and let's get started. Welcome back. We're going to start our 9 count using a stick and then later moving on to using a knife. Start with your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart in a balanced and comfortable stance. For our grip, we want to make sure that our gripping hand is approximately 1 hand's width above the bottom of the instrument. This is going to make sure that we have proper wrist mobility and enough balance in the instrument to reach the trajectory and speed that we are looking for with the tip. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm going to put the tool in my left hand on my left shoulder. Most of you are right-handed, so put the tool in your right hand on your right shoulder and follow along as if you are looking into a mirror. We are going to take our empty hand and place it on our chest. This is getting us into the habit of making sure that that hand is out of the way of our tool, especially if we are using an edged weapon like a knife or sword. Later on, we will get into checking or clearing maneuvers with that empty hand, but for right now, let's just make sure we keep it out of the way. Let's begin. Our angle 1 is going from our weapon side shoulder to opposite hip. It's following the angle of about 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock on the face of a clock. Let's rewind that back, put our tool on our right shoulder and do it again. Angle 1, shoulder to opposite hip. Fantastic. Angle 2 is the opposite downward X line. That's going to go from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock, or from opposite shoulder to weapon side hip. Let's do that again. Good. Angles 3 and 4 are across the middle plane. 3 going from our weapon side to our opposite side. Let's do that one more time. And then angle 4 from our opposite side to our weapon side. And one more time. Fantastic. Now, our angle 5 is a thrust, either on a high line or on a low line. Let's rewind that back. High line or low line thrust. Now our angle 6, we're going to do kind of a looping motion in order to get the top down strike, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Downward strike to the top of the head. Let's rewind that back. going from your last thrust, moving it around 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Angle 7 is our weapon side to opposite shoulder, hip to shoulder, 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Let's do that one more time. 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Move the weapon down to the opposite side hip and go upwards for our angle 8. 7 o'clock back to 1 o'clock where we started. One more time. Put the weapon on the opposite hip and upwards to our shoulder. Lastly, angle 9 is an upward thrust into the groin. One more time. Backwards from our shoulder into the upward thrust into the groin. Fantastic. You've done very well. Practice this over and over again in both your right hand and your left hand, and I'll see you back here for utilizing tip down with a stick. Before we begin our tip down angle structure, let's start with our body mechanics and foot mobility. The first type that we are going to go over is where we keep our body weight in the heels of our feet rather than the balls of our feet, picking up our toes and shifting our body weight on our heels to face left or right. You can find this in Wing Chun Kung Fu, Tai Chi, and certain forms of Filipino martial arts. Practice with me, starting by lifting our left foot, then our right foot, then both feet. Making sure you remain balanced. We don't want you to fall over. Now, let's start by pushing our weight into our right heel as we shift our body weight to our left, driving into our right heel, shifting to the left. Then, as we move to our right, we will push our body weight down into our left heel as we shift our body weight to the right, making sure that we are picking up the balls of our feet as we rotate. Once again to the left, and again to the right, then back to center. This second type of foot mobility can be found in Taekwondo, Karate, boxing, and other forms of arts like that. It's where we keep our body weight on the balls of our feet, picking up our heels as we rotate. Many of the arts that I learned growing up were of this nature, and this is how I naturally move. Practice both ways, and if one feels better than the other, then I recommend going with that. Start with me by standing on the balls of your feet, or your tippy toes, as they say. Let's do this a few times. As we shift to our left, again we are driving down into our right leg, but this time on the ball of our foot rather than on the heel. And this will drive us to our left. Then we're going to pick up our heels and again drive down into our left foot, the balls of our feet, as we shift our body to the right. And left, and right, and back to center. Now let's try doing it with our angles. Complete follow-through strikes with our footwork and body mechanics. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, 5 thrust high or thrust low, 6, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 7, 8, and a 9 up into the groin. Now, let's also practice taking a step forward with our strikes, switching between our left foot forward and our right foot forward with our strikes. We are going to start with our right foot forward for our angle 1. Put our hand on our chest, right foot forward for angle 1. Switch your stance for angle 2. Switch your stance again for angle 3. And again for angle 4. 5, we're not going to switch our foot pattern as far as left or right foot forward. But you are going to want to make sure that you are shifting your weight backwards and forwards in with your strike rather than just your arm moving forward. Let's see that one more time. Thrust high and thrust low. Shifting your weight and your footwork for 6. Coming back around for 7. Switching back again for 8. And up into the groin for 9. Now remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Never sacrifice structure and technique for speed. Speed will come with time once you start building up your repertoire. Practice both shifting your body weight side to side as well as taking steps with either foot. And mix it up. Don't just follow what was on the video. Try practicing with each foot forward with various strikes. Some will feel more comfortable than others, but always make sure that you practice those uncomfortable strikes here and there. It's important to be well-rounded. Once speed comes into play, start practicing with speed and pick it up just a little bit. Again, never sacrificing technique or structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high, 5 low, 6, 7, 8, 9 into the groin. Again, practice that over and over again with your tip up, and we'll switch here in a second for tip down with the stick. Now let's go over tip down with the stick using the butt of the stick. You're going to notice that these strikes are very similar to what you will see later on in the knife portion. These are thrusting strikes, which will then convert into stabbing strikes. Again, our angle 1 structure on a thrusting strike is still going to be the same angle. Then angle 2, shifting our body weight and coming backwards for that angle 2. 3, coming in on the side. 4, coming in on the other side. 5, high line and low line. 6, coming down, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. 7, coming backwards up, 5 o'clock to 11. 8, 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock. 9 upward into the groin. Now let's utilize the same exact angle structure, the same exact movements for utilizing the long end of the stick in tip down manner for striking. Angle 1, following through. 2, following through. 3, 4, 5 low or 5 high. Notice that because I'm in reverse grip, I'm using that as a thrusting motion. 5 low and 5 high. 6 coming downward onto the head. Coming backward across. 7, 8, and 9 into the groin. Practice that quite a few times, and we'll switch in a second for knife tip up. Now let's switch from stick to knife. Go ahead and grab your knife, tip up, place your empty hand on your chest, and let's get started. Angle 1, just like it's always been, weapon side shoulder to opposite hip. Angle 2, opposite shoulder to weapon side hip. Angle 3, weapon side to opposite side across the middle. Angle 4 across the middle, opposite side to weapon side. 5 is a high line or a low line thrust. Angle 6, you'll notice I put my empty hand as retention on my weapon hand. This will help apply pressure to the blade down the face, and this is called a facial score. Angle 7, weapon side hip to opposite shoulder. 8, opposite side hip to weapon shoulder. And 9, upward thrust into the groin. Practice that a few times, and we'll be right back for tip down with a knife. Finally, let's go over tip down with a knife. Go ahead and grab your tool and put it in tip down fashion. You're going to notice that these maneuvers are more for stabbing than it was for slashing with tip up positioning with the hand. First, let's get into a little bit of anatomy. Now, as you're facing me, this is going to be accurate. On your opponent's left side of the throat, you have the carotid artery. On the opposite side of the throat, you have the jugular vein. In between the clavicle and scapula, if you go down, is your subclavian vein or artery on both sides. You also have a plethora of cardiovascular veins and arteries that go underneath the arms and into the armpits on both sides. And then for organs, because you have the sternum, on the right side, if you're facing them, their left, is where you would attack the heart. It goes from top to bottom, right, left, right, heart, liver, stomach. So you're going to go in between the ribs to attack the heart on this side, then down for the liver on the opposite side, and then the stomach on their right, or their left, your right, a little lower. Approximately where the elbow rests upward into the side is where the spleen sits, just above the stomach. And on the back, approximately 1.5 inches on either side of the spine and 1.5 inches above the belt is going to be the kidneys on both sides. If they're wearing jeans or something with an inseam, about 1.5 inches in front or toward your side of the inseam is going to be the femoral artery on both sides. Let's start. Tip down with the knife, opposite hand on the chest, and just like before, angle 1 as a thrust or a stab, angle 2, opposite side, angle 3, weapon side in, angle 4, opposite side, angle 5 is the high line or low line thrust. High line, shifting my body weight. Low line, getting the whole body rotation backwards and forwards, not just your arm in that strike. 6, again utilizing my opposite hand, my empty hand. Tip down. 7, upward at an angle. 8, and 9, another stab into the groin, almost like R5. Thank you so much for watching and staying with me this long. We will do one more video on how to transition on the high, middle, low, high, and low, high, middle for the king, queen, and jack cards. And then we will also be going over the check and pass or check and slash maneuvers and the box pattern for the two jokers. Train hard, stay safe, remain vigilant, and always stay bladed.